Well, we're joined now by Ibrahim Freihat, a Senior Foreign Policy Fellow at Brookings. Great to have you with us. Thanks for coming in to the studio. Now, ISIL has claimed responsibility for this latest attack, but it's actually an affiliate, isn't it, that is working in the Sinai. So could you tell us about that?
Thank you. Actually, yes, there are a number of groups, ISIS groups, that are operating not only in Sinai, but in a number of other countries as well. The interesting thing to know about this is that originally the group was affiliated with Al-Qaeda, was called Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis. And then it evolved later on that became more now of an ISIS group that has claimed responsibility for a number of attacks against the Egyptian government and the Egyptian army in the past.
So what's its motives locally? Are they different from ISIL's motives globally?
Well, actually, the motives are not different. However, the conditions in Sinai have changed and they become different. And that by itself actually motivated ISIS to become more lethal, more efficient in conducting these attacks and became actually more dangerous than ever before. And the reason is that the Egyptian government's approach to dealing with security issues in Sinai have relied mostly in the past, or entirely, I should say, actually, on security approach, which is more of a confrontation with the different radical groups operating in Sinai, while ignoring other essential factors that should consider in this campaign, such as engaging with the local communities there, approaching Sinai on a more of a development approach rather than just strictly a security approach. And even more importantly, actually, it alienated one of the key players on the other side of the Egyptian borders, which is Hamas, actually, that closed the Rafah crossing for a very long time, while disengaging Hamas from helping and cooperating with the government. So
what potentially could Hamas do to help the situation?
Well, there is, Hamas actually has proved, because Hamas faces similar security challenges in Gaza, but it proved actually to be effective in dealing with ISIS or other groups. Let's keep in mind that ISIS launched a number of threats in the past against Hamas in Gaza for the past 2-3 years, and actually we haven't seen anything happening in Gaza. So Hamas knows the area, knows the borders there, knows the region, and they developed good security system and security policy there that has not been engaged in dealing with the government, despite actually Hamas number of times announcing that they're willing to work with the government on dealing with the security issues. But the Egyptian government has actually rejected this. Recently, I should say, the past week, we have seen more of a senior level government actually between Hamas leadership and the Egyptian government taking place in Cairo, which is a sign of probably a different approach that the government is considering.
Yeah, because the government should be worried, hasn't it? I mean, yes, the attacks have largely focused on Sinai, that it's pretty sparsely populated area. But what threat does this group there pose more broadly?
Well, actually, this is a very serious concern, security concern, because Sinai has historically felt more of marginalized and that frustrated the community of Sinai for not being involved, for not being part of the government's policies towards development and engagement with the capital, and left instead of actually approaching more on a development concerns and engagement, the government responded with a strictly security approach that actually contributed to creating a more conducive environment to extremism and this type of attacks. So the government actually conducted a self-defeating policy. Instead of dealing with the radical groups, it contributed through the security approach to creating a more conducive environment that actually encouraged this. And one strong evidence on this, actually, that Sinai replaced its group from Al-Qaeda to a more lethal group, which is ISIS. So more of an evolvement of radicalism in Sinai in terms of the version of that they're taking from Al-Qaeda to ISIS, or from the types of attacks that they have conducted. As we're seeing, it's becoming more frequent and more lethal these days.
Ibrahim Fraihat, very good to get your expertise on this. Thanks very much for coming in and joining us.
Thank you.